Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Off the Cuff. Trying something a little bit different because my camera like being weird and constantly zooming and resuming and all that fun stuff, which doesn't make it super fun to watch. And I already see it's doing it now. Super exciting. So we'll see how this goes. Um, Today's episode, we're going to be going over reviews of USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage, on Rotten Tomatoes. This um, has a 19%, 18% on the critics, and it has a 29% on the audience. So it should be a fun time here. All right, so let's get started. Um, First one I got up here is from Brian Orndorff from Blu-ray.com. Cage remains uncharacteristically subdued in the lead role, or perhaps I'm misinterpreting his boredom, his complete boredom. Yeah, I mean, oh, and he gave it a D. Um, I understand that this isn't like his super fun, crazy, wacky Nick Cage self. This is one of his more serious roles, and you can even agree. You can see with like stuff like even like Wind Talkers, or yeah, I think it's Wind Talkers or Wind Takers. He can have these really serious ones without going crazy like he does in a lot of his other films. So I think that was more just the direction the movie had to go in was this more serious role. This one from Noel Murray. The script by Cam Cannon and co-producer Richard Rionda del Castro is frustratingly unfocused, jumping from incident to incident while using Cage's flat, whispered narration to fill the gaps. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with a lot of this here because they set some stuff up, like they try and set some stuff up early on to show the relationships between the men, um, ahead of time, including a race relation situation, which is fine. It's just not very it's not very focused, like this review was saying, is very unfocused. um, Whereas you could probably have explained a lot of it through dialogue, and it would have been a much better it would have been a much better presentation, I think, overall. This one from AV Club. Every expense has been spared. The sets are either claustrophobically limited or anonymously empty. The period detail is non existent, and the special effects are on par with sci fi original. Yeah, I talk about that a little bit in the review too. The effects, like I said there, and I would still stand by it. The effects come off like something from a World War II History Channel TV show. Um, but that's, again, visual effects are something I can generally get past a little bit as long as the story is compelling. And I think the story is compelling for the most part here, but again, it's just a little bit, there's a little too much to it. I think you could have edited out about, you know, like I generally say with a lot of these movies, actually, I think you could have edited out around a half an hour, or at least explained differently. So instead of having that half hour towards the different stuff that doesn't make as much sense, or not that doesn't make much sense, but that it just takes up a lot of time when it could just be explained through dialogue. And that way you still get the point across and it's still dramatic and good and everything. This one from Owen Gleiberman from Variety. A World War II epic about the cruiser that carried the A bomb and was disastrously torpedoed never finds its dramatic life. Yeah, that's a fair one too. I think it does. You do have quite a bit of drama in this movie. I think it just gets spread. It gets stretched out really far because you're following quite a few characters and you're trying to keep an eye on everybody. But that being said, I still think there's some drama here to be had. All right, let's go over to the audience scores. Here's a 1 star from Larry. I love war movies, but this was terrible. Acting was B movie at best. Some of the scenes were just cringeworthy. A guy gets burned opening a door on the ship, and there was no fire in the room to heat the door. The captain is somehow separated from the crew in the ocean. How the hell does that happen? when they all went down together. Just plain dumb. I want my 2 hours of my life back from watching this train wreck. Yeah, again, some of this comes out to having some suspension of disbelief. Um, but again, it's not necessarily an incorrect or wrong review in any stretch of the imagination. There's definitely some stuff that is tough. As far as the captain getting separated from everybody from so far, I mean, I mean, I guess ocean currents are a thing. I don't know how to explain that one, to be perfectly honest. Again, this is one of those things where it's based on a true story, but I'm not sure how much of it is accurate to what actually happened, as far as, especially in the ocean side of this movie. It's a lot of bad reviews here, guys. This one from Bruce, a 1 star. Wow, just wow. Why would anyone finance or allow such a train wreck of a movie to make it to the public? Just the worst movie you should never watch. Your kids just made a better movie in the backyard last week. Oh, they didn't make a movie, you say? Yeah, they did not make was infinitely better than this. Yeah, I mean, this movie is definitely. I would say it's probably lower on my list of the movies that I've watched so far for the channel. I'm already planning on doing like a list, like ranking all the movies that we watched this year so far um, for the channel, like at the end of the year. This one has a chance to be at the very bottom. We'll see. This one from Leland. Too much time spent floating at sea with a huge cast of killer sharks, not enough time spent on developing how a naval crew operates as a team for mutual survival. That's fair. I think it used a lot of its build up to show some of um, the crew butting heads, and then going through this event brought them together. I think that was more the angle they were going at, but it definitely could have been done a little bit better in that regard. This from Anonymous, 3.5 star. Despite its poor ratings, I enjoyed this one and story it told of this ship and its men trying to survive the horrors in the South Pacific Ocean during World War II while carrying out its mission to end the war with Japan. Well, again, there's definitely some stuff to enjoy in this movie, and they didn't. I'm surprised none of the reviews have touched on the Japanese side of this so far. Where I think a lot of the interesting character development is very brief, but it has to do with the submarine captain who downs the USS Indianapolis, where he is going through. He hasn't had a kill yet, so he is like lacking honor in the war so far, and the fact that the war is coming to an end or seemingly coming to an end. I think that side of it is a lot more interesting, and I almost would have rather had a movie based on that, almost like how Clint Eastwood did Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. You could have done a USS Indianapolis movie and a movie based on that submarine and the crossover, because he's conflicted on whether he should go try and save the men or not. And Imperial Japan, they're like the Admiralty of Imperial Japan, recalled him. Let's see if I can find one or two more, just because a lot of these are coming very similar. All right, this one is a 1 star from Anonymous. A very compelling story, but unfortunately, Nicolas Cage didn't do it justice, and the continuous bad choice of music drowned it out. CGI was over the top, and the physical jumping ship acting was over the top. Otherwise, if these points were removed and the film redone, then may have stood a chance. Yeah, I mean, I think Cage did a good job for what he was given in this regard. Um, I think there could have been some. I think there could have been some better choices made as far as the actual story itself. I think the sinking itself was actually okay, though. I think the things that had to do with the ship, you could tell. I think you could tell that a lot of the budget of this movie went towards that sinking scene of the Indianapolis, as far as the big effects and everything. And it's hard too, because I'm just thinking through the movie. It's really hard because that The scene where they're sinking is near the middle, like halfway through. So you don't usually, when you have a movie like this where a ship is sinking and stuff, you have a little bit more of an emotional connection. Thinking of like when I reviewed The Enemy Below, you have a little bit more of a connection between the men, the captain, the crew, and the ship. And you don't get as much of that here just because of the way they went about it. And that's unfortunate because I think there is a really good story and a really good movie here. It didn't come through, unfortunately. All right. Well, I think that's all I got for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, I'd love to hear what you think. And a quick shout out to our Diamonds in the Rough over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel either as a free or paid member, you can head on over there. Links will be in the description. And we shout you out in all the videos moving forward. I hope you all have a great evening. Take care, and I hope I see you in the next one.